And welcome back, friends, to Cajun Coding. This is Saint Raz, and we are continuing on our Java adventure on the Codingbat website. The String2 series of exercises here, and now we're on XYZ there. The explanation of that exercise: return true if the given string contains an appearance of XYZ where XYZ is not directly preceded by a period. So XYZ counts, but X dot XYZ does not. So let me see. So it looks like we could use a for loop. This is a lot like a lot of our exercises, looking for a substring contained within a larger string. Now we do have the extra wrinkle of we are going to be checking the index just previous to that substring should we find it. So let's go ahead and let me see. If we find what we're looking for, we're going to go ahead and return true. Otherwise, we can return a default value of false. So I don't think we need to declare a variable for that. So let's go ahead and get our for loop set up. And length, this is going to be length, str length. And we're taking a byte of 3 characters there, so we're going to put that length -2. Okay, and if we find that XYZ, so str substring, that's going to be an if. And str substring, this is going to be I minus 1 to I. And that's our dot. Now it's not actually going to be equals dot, it needs to be not equal to the dot, so we can use the bang there. And if that's the case, we return true. Now our default, if we look through the entire string and we don't find what we're looking for, we're going to return a false. Now the problem with this code is that if we're checking the first 3 characters, then this statement over here is going to be looking at the character before the first character, which of course is going to be out of bounds. So we do need to put an if in there. If I equals 0, let me see. If I equals 0, then we're going to return true. If string substring that's not going to work, is it? Let me see. Return expected for. Oops. Missed a parentheses, of course. Yep, there we go. Now, what we're doing here is we want to make sure that if XYZ is in the first three characters, we're returning true. We're not going to check for that period, because checking for that period, the dot, previous to the first index of the string, doesn't make sense. We don't have to worry about that in this if statement, because if the first three characters are not XYZ, then it won't execute the second part. So, and we won't get to this until we're at index 1. Because of this if statement. There we go. And let me see on to the next one. Bob there. Return true if the given string contains a Bob, B-O-B string, but where the middle O character can be any character. So we're not really looking for the substring Bob, because O can be anything. We're just checking for the B, and then followed 2 indexes to the right by another B. So, and I don't think we're going to need a holder for that or anything. We just return true if and when we find it. So for okay, so if str, we've got some edge cases where we have very short strings. We'll look at that in a moment here. If str, let me see, character at I equals B, and str character at I plus 2 equals B. Remember, single quotes for the car at method. Return true. Of course, if we don't find that anywhere, we return false. And if we have some short strings, this won't work. Let's see what we've got here. And it looks fine. If we had a test with only two characters or less, then we'd get an out of bounds, but it doesn't look like they were throwing that at us this time. Okay, in the next one we've got XY balance. We'll say a string is XY balanced if for all the X characters in the string there exists a Y character somewhere later in the string. So XXY is balanced, but XYX is not. One Y can balance multiple X's. Return true if the given string is XY balanced. I suppose I don't have too many quibbles with how they're using the word balanced here. Your first impulse, and I hope you've already tried the exercise before going straight to the video, but if not, that's okay too. But your first impulse might be to count the X's and the Y's. There's a problem with that, one that you're not really looking at a ratio here, because one Y can balance multiple X's. So counting the numbers really is not exactly what they're going for. And then also, if you iterate all the way through the string and count up how many instances of each character there is, that's also agnostic as to where the positions of these characters are. You only need one I to cancel 1,000 X's out, if and only if that Y is the rightmost character as related to the X's. Other characters are irrelevant. So what we're really saying is that if you have a Y, as you iterate through the string, when you find a Y, it's balanced all the X's to the left. So our placeholder here is not going to be an integer that's counting the number of occurrences, but a Boolean balanced. And we're going to set balanced to, I'm not wondering how we should, actually we might not have to initialize it, because I'm really not sure if an X or a Y is going to pop up first. Before you've encountered any X's or Y's, is it balanced? And that's a question I really can't answer. So we're not going to go ahead and we're not going to initialize balanced. We're just going to declare it as a Boolean. And then we're going to set up our for loop. And we're going to take these one at a time. Okay, so if, let me see, str character at I is equal to X, if we have an X and we haven't encountered a Y yet, then balanced is going to be false. And if we find a Y, then that is going to restore balance no matter how many X's have already been encountered. So balanced is going to become true. And then after we've iterated through the entire array, we simply return the Boolean value balanced, which will be true or false. Oh, it didn't like that we didn't initialize it. That's not nice. Let's see what happens. We're going to try both cases. I'm going to say before we've encountered anything, let's say it's true. Okay, let's go ahead and look at false. Oh, it doesn't like that. See, there's no X's or Y's. So apparently, according to their standards, before we have anything, any X's or Y's, it is true. So we'll go ahead and set balance to true to initialize it. They have a solution for this one. Let's see what we've got. Okay. String integer Y is equal to -1. Why are they setting Y to -1? Let me see. If string character at, oh, I see. String character at I equals Y. What they're doing here, remember, -1 is a return value for a lot of search methods. So if we don't find what we're looking for, then it would be -1. So string character at I equals Y. String at -1. Y equals I. So find the rightmost Y is what they're doing. Okay, well that's interesting. They didn't have to iterate through the entire array then. So you find the rightmost Y, then we look at the X's and return false if one is after Y. So then they're looking at the rightmost X by iterating through the entire array. If we find an X, character at X and I is greater than Y, which means the X is to the right of the Y, then we're going to return false. Otherwise, they return true. So let me see. It says it uses 2 loops, each written in the simple 0 length way. You could do it with a single reverse loop, noting if you see an X before a Y, or you use the last index of. Okay, I did it with a single loop, but it wasn't a reverse loop. Yeah, they also say you can use last index of. We've covered the index of method. The last index of basically is exactly what it sounds like. You find the rightmost instance of a particular character. So yeah, there's a couple different ways to go at that. Interesting problem. And now we have a mixed string given two strings, A and B. Create a bigger string made up of the first character of A, the first character of B, second character of A, second character of B, and so on. Any leftover characters go at the end of the result. So now we are returning a bigger string, so we're going to go ahead and declare a string answer, and we're going to go ahead and initialize it to an empty string. And obviously we're going to have a for loop. And this is going to go through the end of the shorter string. So what we're going to do is do math min a length b length okay, and then we are going to answer append to that a character at I, and then answer plus equal b character at I. Now when I first started writing this, I was thinking we're going to need something to break out of the for loop when we run out of characters, but we actually don't, because we're setting it to end at the shorter of these two. But we are going to have to go ahead and append whatever remaining characters we have there. And we're going to do that if a length is greater than b length. Oops. Braces, not brackets. Okay, and we're going to append to answer. Now a length is longer, so we're going to append a substring a length minus b length. Else we're going to append to answer, in this case b is longer, b substring b length minus a length. And then we should just return our answer. Pretty sure this is going to work. Oh, nope. And I think I might have been off by one somewhere. So ABC AX BY CZ, and I think I'm off by one here, which is why it's behaving thusly. Let me see. C. So it should be -1. Nope, that didn't do it. Hold on. Okay, now we've got if A is greater than, A length is greater than B length, but this one is, I think that's our problem here. So else, let's try else if, see, B length is greater than A length, because this seemed to happen when they're the same length. That one didn't though. That one's, let me see, let's see what we've got here. No, we're still running into some problems here. Now this one actually got fixed. So what's going on here? This is interesting. ABC, ABC, and what happened there? Let me see. If we look here, it looks like we're missing one character. TH, TIH, TIH, E. We're missing that E. So we're too far towards the end. And this one is B is longer. So if B is longer, so we should have a -1 here, I think. Now that I wouldn't fix that one. Yeah, so we do it on both of them here. Oh, so we fixed this one. Now what happened here? Oh, what a mess. That's fixed. This one works. X's and there. XT, XTX, HXE, X, R. But we ended too soon for the A. Oh, I think I see what's wrong here. Notice that these two are very close in length. But what happens if we've got length minus length, if they're close in length, we're going to get a lower number, which means that we're going to be starting at one of the earlier indices. So what we need to do is subtract that difference. If we subtract that difference from the length of the string, then that should do it. So what we're going to do is substring would be a length minus this difference. Not sure about that -1 now though. Okay, that's interesting. So this would be B length minus, and put the parentheses on there. Get rid of these -1s. I don't think I need those. Maybe I took too many parentheses out. Now what? And there it is. See? Wow, these are getting fun, aren't they? But as I said, sometimes you've got to look through the code and see what's going on there. And that's, that's why testing is so important, because you can see how the program behaves with various types of input. And what's with these things, the edge cases like empty strings being passed in and such. So that one was fun. All right, let's see what we've got next. Okay, repeat end. Given a string and an int n, return a string made up of n repetitions of the last n characters of the string. You may assume that n is between 0 and the length of the string inclusive. So we shouldn't have, we're taking a byte of n size from string str, and n is not going to be larger than the length of string str, if I'm understanding what they're saying here. So, and this one actually seems awfully easy. Maybe it's deceptively simple, should we say. So string answer equals, or it should say initialized, to an empty string. I'm going to do our for int I, and I less than in, which is provided. And we're going to append to answer and substring. And it says it's going to be the last in characters. So this would be str length minus in. What am I missing? Is it that simple? Yeah, I guess it is that simple. I thought this was going to be the last one. That one was actually pretty easy. And let's see what we got for the next one here. Repeat front. Given a string int in, return a string made the first in characters of the string followed by the first n minus 1 characters of the string, and so on. So this is kind of like the string explosion thing that we did earlier on. So if you'll notice chocolate 4, so choc, choch, and then just C. So alright, so let's go ahead and set up our string answer. And then we're going to do 4. I think we're going to set I to n. I don't have to do that. Let me see. Yeah, actually, I think we can. We can do it different ways. There's different ways to approach it. We'll do in, and then I is greater than 0. Then I is going to be decremented. It's going to be getting smaller each iteration. And we're going to append onto answer str substring, and it's going to be always from index 0 to I. And I feel like I'm missing something here. Maybe paranoia. Just look at this carefully. What we're doing, int I, we're going to start it at n. So, for example, 4. So n is going to be 4, and n, as long as n is greater than 0, we're going to keep iterating through the loop, which n is going to reduce by 1 each time. And we're going to add to answer string substring, str substring, from the first character 0 to whatever currently I is. So it's going to be the first 4 in the first iteration. Then n is going to drop by 1, be the first 3, then it drops by 1, first 2 characters, and then the first single character. So I think we got time for one more. Watch, this one's going to turn into a complete wreck, huh? Alright, given 2 strings, word and separator, sep, return a big string made of count occurrences of the word separated by the separator string. So we've got word x3, so word x, word x, word. So this one looks pretty easy. Now we're going to have word first, so let's go ahead and initialize string answer, and we're going to go ahead and initialize it, and I'll explain why we're doing this in a moment here. We're going to initialize it to word, so that's going to be our first occurrence of word, and then we set up a for loop less than what do we have, count. And now for each iteration through the loop, we're going to do answer is equal sep answer plus equal word, and then we return answer. Should do it. Oh, what did it do? x3. Oh, you know what? Let me see. Yeah, it's going to be count minus 1. Hey, that's interesting. What was that? I'll be darned. Look at that. So this mostly works if count equals is actually less than 1. If count is less than 1, return an empty string. They're getting cheeky with their edge cases. There we go. Now it works. Now I'll explain my reasoning here. We're going to initialize string answer to the word. If we do word and then separator for each iteration through the string, we're going to end our answer with the separator. And as you can see here, that's not what they want. They want to end with a word. The separator is just separating instances of the word. So I said, hey, let's start with the word, and then we just add separator word for each iteration through the count, which works fine unless they want count to be 0 and they're expecting an empty string. So it was the edge case that got me this time, but that's no big deal. That's what testing is for. So thanks so much for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. As always, like, subscribe, comment, query, or request. Thanks again so much for visiting Cajun Coding, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.